time. That sucks. And I'm sick again. I have another cold. I just got over COVID. Like a week ago. I had it for like 3 weeks. And then like the symptoms for 3 weeks because I usually get them longer because of my illness. And now I have just a common cold. It's not COVID, but still it's annoying because it really brings me down because my body already is fighting whatever I have, whatever illness. And you add a common cold on top of that and it's just even worse. So that's just lovely. Alright, so I wanted to talk a bit about the sun. It's making my eyes water. So I wanted to talk a bit about my illness and how I got it, what is happening with it, and kind of like what I'm going through. Mainly because I think maybe it'll help people out there that are going through similar things. And I mean, it took me a long time to find doctors that would believe me, for one, but also work with me and in diagnosing and getting to the bottom of what was going on. So let's go back to the beginning. In July 2021, I got my second round of the COVID vaccine, and it was in our province. It was mandated that people under 30 had to get the Moderna vaccine. So prior to this, I had gotten one vaccine and it was the Pfizer one. So I wanted Pfizer again because my body didn't react to it at all. And then, but people under 30 were made to get the Moderna one. So I got Moderna, and a day later, my tongue swole. It got big, swollen. I called my mom and I was talking to her and she said, "Are you eating something or do you have something in your mouth?" And I said, "No." And she was like, I can't, it sounds like you have marbles in your mouth. And I was like, "What?" So then I realized that my tongue was really swollen. So I called HealthLinks, which is a medical hotline that we have here in Manitoba. And they are supposed to give you advice, and at the time we had to call them to get advice on what to do because COVID was it was a big thing. So I called them. They advised me, even though I told them I was having an allergic reaction to the COVID vaccine. I told them, and they said, "Oh, you need to go and get a COVID test." And I said, "I don't feel sick. My tongue is swollen and I just had the vaccine. So that's what caused it. I don't have COVID." And at the time, if HealthLinks or anybody told you that you had to get a COVID test, you have to get it or they could fine you. And then you had to stay in your house until you got the results. So I drove 45 minutes to the nearest COVID testing site with a swollen tongue, and I didn't really think of how dangerous it was at the time, but my throat could have swelled up and I was nowhere near a hospital. So that was scary, but I listened to them even though it didn't make sense. I got a COVID test. I called my doctor as well, and she got back to me the following day. I took a Reactin to try and get my tongue swelling down, and then I just kind of had some ice water, and I just kind of I my husband met me. He was working, so he met me in at near the testing site, and then we drove home. And I just kind of watched. My tongue subsided over the next 24 hours ish, but the other symptoms started and did not stop. So all of a sudden I started getting very weak, muscle wise, and things like my grip strength in my hands. I couldn't stand upright without feeling faint and dizzy, kind of like similar symptoms that you get when you have the flu or something. So I figured, okay, like this will pass. It's just because I got the flu shot or the COVID shot. So I was like, this will pass. And then later, a couple days later, it just started getting worse. So I had talked to my doctor already. She advised me just to take Reactine. My COVID test came back negative, of course, because I was having a reaction to the vaccine, not COVID itself. And at this point, I had never had COVID. I had never had a cold or anything. All of 2020, up in like all of 2021, I had never had COVID. And I had been tested prior, like never positive, everything like that. So this was, kind of all new symptoms to me. At that point, we were gardening because it was summertime. It was July, and my hands got to the point where I could no longer hold the garden hose and anymore. Like I couldn't hold the spray down because my hands got so weak and so painful. Like it literally felt like my bones were made of like twigs. I don't know how to describe it any better, but it felt like they were going to break if I held it. So my husband ended up having to, we had like almost an acre of a garden because we went a little crazy. And so yeah, so my husband ended up having to water the garden and everything. And then I started noticing things like leg weakness. I would go and walk the dogs, and I started falling when I was walking. And then I also started falling downstairs and stuff. So there was a lot of symptoms that I didn't have before. I had previously run like 2 half marathons. I was in shape. I would walk on the treadmill for a couple hours a day at this point. And I was very active outside. We live on an acreage, so I was very active with our dogs. We were walking all the time. We were making fences and all these things, and I never had any issues with weakness or muscle fatigue, dizziness, fainting, anything like that. So I started having these symptoms. They did not go away, and in October the pain got so bad that I asked my family physician. I said, hey, like, it feels like, I don't know, maybe I have arthritis. I don't know what's going on. I'm tired all the time. I feel very weak. I can't, like, I've been falling down the stairs, which was a huge concern because, I mean, that's how you break bones. And it's not good to fall downstairs. And I was falling down them like a couple times a day, even despite me being careful. It was like my legs would just kind of like give out. So I told my family doctor. She took some blood work. She tested me for rheumatoid arthritis. And then my test results came back, and they came back negative for the rheumatoid arthritis. And she ended up saying that she thinks it's depression, which I had no history of depression in like medically like diagnosis or anything. She was a newer doctor to me, and I hadn't ever talked to her about my mental health or anything like that. She said, I think it's just depression. I think you need to, like, think about your mental health. And I said, it's not depression. I said, if anything, the fact that I cannot do things like water my garden or walk my dogs without knowing why is causing me, mental distress. So she didn't listen to me. She said, well, your test results are fine. She said, but I can refer you to an internal medicine doctor if you really feel like I like you're not happy with what I got you, or what I'm saying. So by December, this is 2021, I had seen internal med. They tested me for TB. They tested me for every illness under the sun, and all blood work, and said that I was fine. I was healthy, no problems. And they said that they think that I have, that they're not sure what I have. So then January comes around, and I was not happy with my family doctor and her just dismissing my symptoms as a mental health thing that was happening. So I had changed to a more local doctor, because that doctor was in Winnipeg and we were living an hour and a half outside Winnipeg. So I decided to see a local doctor, and January 2022, I started seeing her, and she said, oh my goodness, like, we have to, get on top of this. So she said, it definitely sounds like chronic fatigue syndrome. And the internal medicine doctors, by end of February, got back to me, and they said that I had chronic fatigue syndrome. So that's what they had diagnosed me with. They said that they're not sure if it's related to the vaccine. They couldn't tell either way. And they said it sounded like long COVID, but I never had COVID, so they weren't sure what was happening. Because I had like 30 plus symptoms that I had been dealing with day to day. So at this point, I was pretty bummed out. I felt very lost. I felt very alone. And I started having, in the springtime, I started having panic attacks because I would start having heart palpitations, and my heart would race, and I would also have chest pains, which, I mean, when you have chest pains, you're told to go to the doctor. You might have, a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. And I would get such bad migraines in my face and my head that like no painkiller would touch them. They would be there for days. So I'd go to the hospital. I went a couple times. They were always worried about my blood pressure because it was really high. They were worried about my heart rate, but they weren't really sure what was going on. And then they would discharge me with some naproxen for my head, and that was pretty much it. But I kept going to the hospital because I was very scared that maybe I would have a stroke or a heart attack or a blood clot or something of the sort, because nobody would tell me what was going on, because they said that everything was normal. But clearly I was, I am a 27-year-old who all of a sudden cannot walk more than, 10 steps without having severe symptoms, and I cannot, walk my dogs or walk in a store or anything without feeling faint and dizzy and all my symptoms coming on. At this point, I was also sleeping probably about 16 to 18 hours a day, and that wasn't by choice. It was a physical need. Like, I could not keep myself awake. There was no way I could keep myself awake. So I had to stop my job as a dog trainer. I had to quit taking clients on. I had to stop walking my dogs. I couldn't train them anymore. I just had to, basically my entire life was put on hold, and thank goodness for my husband, because he was able to take care of me in this state. And it was very frustrating because all doctors would be like, well, you're fine. So at this point, my new doctor is working with me. She's amazing. Like, I absolutely love her. But at this point, we're still very frustrated because we know we have chronic fatigue syndrome, but we're not sure kind of why or what's going on. So she refers me to a, actually, let's go back. So this is spring 2022. And we still don't have any answers. We start to kind of she tries to refer me to a rheumatologist to see if it's anything like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus and stuff like that, because all my symptoms are pointing towards like inflammation because of swelling and everything like that. My lymph nodes are huge. You can see that lump right there. That's lymph nodes. So my lymph nodes are massive, and they have not gone down since I got the COVID shot in 2021. It's 2024 right now. So we were very stumped. I had CT scans. In the meantime, I had MRI scans, and everything was coming back pretty normal. So there was nothing of concern. So we were just kind of, I started in June of 2022. I started some meds to help with panic attacks. I also started some more meds to help with pain. And we started to try and help and manage the symptoms because we weren't getting any answers. We decided we will just start with the symptoms because they were ruining my life. So we started with that. That started to help immensely. I was starting to be able to walk around the house a little bit more. I was still sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day, if not more. Like, I would say 20 hours a day sometimes. And I was getting like maybe 1,000 to 2,000 steps a day on a busy day. That was if we went out of the house. If we stayed in the house, it was probably under 1,000 steps, 1,500 steps, and that was mostly because we only have one bathroom and it's downstairs. So it was, it was a lot. So then in the fall of 2022, we started to look into the idea of POTS syndrome, which is post-orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And we started to look at other issues that was going on because of my blood pressure and my heart rate. And then we also, I also found a drug trial that was being, that had been going on like years prior to any of this for chronic fatigue syndrome by Dr. Lerner, which is trialing the valcyclovir treatment. So basically it's an antiviral, and you take it to try and mitigate the symptoms of the, I'll link the trial below and what is all entailed. But so we started to do blood work and everything, and a heart monitor test to get all that sorted. We got all that sorted, and then once we got all the test results back, it came back that I think it was 30-something% of my 24 hours that I was on the Holter monitor, the heart monitor, I was in tachycardia, and I hadn't really been doing much or anything. So so I qualified for the trial treatment, as well as it came back positive for EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. And then I also have herpes simplex virus, which is cold sores. So I've had that since I was like 3 years old. So everything was pointing to me being able to do this trial. There wasn't really anything on it except for the 1 or 2 studies that had been done, and they were very small studies, like 20 to 30 people, but they had really good results. So we decided to go ahead with the study, and that started in April of 2023. So by this point, she had referred me to a cardiologist as well, and so I saw him June 2023, and he decided that I had dysautonomia, and it was just that a dysfunction in my nervous system, which is what dysautonomia and POTS is. So he said that I have a vaccine injury, which is 1 in 3 million people get that. And he does think that it is related to the vaccine. So we got somewhere with that, meaning he does see the correlation, and he sees that in the way that it is caused by the vaccine. So something happened when I got the Moderna vaccine, and he said Moderna specifically was having these issues, that my body reacted that way. So it is due to the vaccine. So I have a vaccine injury, and that has caused me secondary issues like chronic fatigue syndrome, dysautonomia POTS syndrome, and we're looking into other things as well. So I started meds. So I've been on the trial treatment of valacyclovir for a year now. It is May 2024. I've been on it for a year and a month now, and I've seen great improvement. I can now, so there's a scale. I'll put the scale up here. So there's a scale, and before, when I started the valacyclovir treatment, I was about a 2 on this scale. And now I would say I'm about a 4 and a 5, kind of in between. I'm still not working, definitely not working 24/7 or like a regular job, but I do have animals that I care for now. I have goats and everything that we started and we got last summer, so I have noticed improvement in my energy. I am not sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day, maybe 10 to 12 hours a day I would sleep. Of course, there's days where if I'm in a crash, which means all of my symptoms flare up, then you essentially just, your body just crashes and you need to take that time to rebuild. So if I'm in a crash, then I might sleep more, but regularly I'm able to usually go out a couple times a week to the city. I'm usually able, I was using a wheelchair when we went to places like Costco and stuff, where you walk like 5 kilometers when you're in there, because it's a big store. But I was doing really well. So then I also started a new medication for my heart rate and blood pressure, and I started that just a little over a month ago, and that has helped me so much, because before, when I was laying down, my blood pressure would be like 120/80, like pretty normal. If I sat up, then my blood pressure would go to like 130/90. And if I stood, my blood pressure would be 150/101. And that your diastolic is not supposed to change that much, no matter what's going on. So even with people with higher blood pressure, their diastolic usually doesn't change that drastically in that short of time. Like, I'm talking 5 seconds. So that was making me super exhausted. My heart rate would also change from, if I was laying down, it would be about like 60, and when I'm standing, it'd be like 120, 130. So this change would exhaust my body, because if I was sitting or standing, and if I stood for any amount of time, it would just completely exhaust me. And walking and adding movement to that was usually worse. But standing still was even more drastic. So I started a new medication, and now my blood pressure is at a more normal range, and my heart rate is as well. So I've been able to do more with that, and it's really changed what I can do. Like in my videos recently, I've been showing that I've been able to clean out some animal pens, which before my husband would do all of that, and now I can clean out one if it's not too heavy. I can clean one out, and then I'm like one every 2 weeks or so, which is insane. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot, because to a healthy person, you should be able to do that and it would be okay. But to me, it's quite a drastic difference. My pain is still pretty bad. I'm on, I take 2 different pain meds, and I take one as needed, and one I take 3 times a day. And without them, I'm in agony. And even with them, when I do things like cleaning up a pen or doing a lot of steps in a day, I pay for it. in absolute agony. I usually can't sleep. I can't get comfortable. And when I say agony, like every bone in my body is aching and my muscles are stiff. It's a brutal feeling. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm still dealing with pain and fatigue. Right now, COVID and having colds has been getting me down, but I'm still not as bad as I was. So I'm slowly getting better with the medication as we're figuring out meds. It's helping me a lot more. Recently, my doctor thinks that I do have POTS because the medication that they put people on that have POTS is working for me. So she is convinced that I have POTS. So yeah, so I think it's a journey. It's been insane. I'm gonna be 30 next month, and I did not expect to live out my 20s, the rest of my 20s, sick. And, it could be worse, of course. And I've always kind of told myself that throughout this journey is it could be worse. A lot of people with chronic fatigue syndrome or myalgic encephalomyelitis is what it's known as in our community, or ME. Lots of people have it so bad where they can't even lift their arms, or they're literally stuck in bed and they're tube fed because they can't even eat themselves. So I mean, I could have it a lot worse, and I have to be very careful because a lot of people who push themselves over their limit get it worse. So post-exertional malaise is something that chronic fatigue, it's one of the main symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's where your energy cells don't regenerate as a normal healthy person's does. So that's why when I would take my dogs for a walk, I would be down on the couch for like a week after, because my energy cells couldn't keep up with how much I was burning and how fast I was burning it. So it wouldn't come back as quickly. So I would feel just like lifeless. And I would literally lay on the floor. My husband would have to pick me up and take me to bed because I couldn't move after. And so that was, it's been tough, and I still can't walk my dogs. I usually have to use my tractor, so that is the main thing. Walking is a lot. I use a wheelchair if I'm doing anything like going to Costco or anywhere where I'm going to be standing still for a long time, or doing lots of walking. The summer and the heat totally drain me, so I can't do much in the summer or the heat. I usually do things in the evenings when it's not as hot outside. I love spring and fall because it's not as warm, but the wet weather really, really sets off my symptoms as well. And I feel like an old crazy person when I say that, but it is true. So, I mean, I'm trying to think if I missed anything on my journey. It's been a whirlwind, and I mean, it's still going on, and we're still trying to find things to do. I've been thinking about seeing a naturopath to kind of see if my doctor has told me that maybe it might be a good idea, since we've kind of exhausted a lot of the traditional doctor kind of tests and stuff like that right now. Because everything's coming back normal. So she thinks that maybe there's some special tests that the regular, like, Manitoba Healthcare doesn't offer, that a naturopath might do, that might help me. So I might go and try and see them. I'm kind of waiting until my trial treatment is over so that I can kind of see what that does. We're not really sure when I'm going to be done or when we're going to give up on this. We're not sure. It's really hard because there's not really much to base it off of, but I'm hopeful that it's working, and I think it is working, and it's definitely helped my stamina and my energy levels and everything. And this new pill that I'm on has been working wonders for me. So I'm very hopeful that I can do that. So I just saw the cardiologist, and he said that I can up my meds as well of the new pill if I wanted to try that. So the only thing is that excessive sweating is a thing of this pill. So I don't have that too bad now. Like I do have excessive sweating, and I sweat in my sleep as well, but I don't want it to be worse. I don't know how it can get worse, because I'm always sweating. Like my palms are always, it's bad. I'm always sweating, but yeah, so we'll see what I do with the meds, but I take probably about like 20 something pills a day, and it would be nice to be able to cut down on those. So the trial treatment itself is 8 pills a day, 4 times a day. So I have like 5 different time slots where I take pills in a day, and that is very annoying, I guess, in a way. I mean, it could be worse, but it would be nice if I could cut down and take pills like 2 times a day, or even 3 times a day. So I guess right now my main concern is getting healthier. I'm starting to eat healthier and cut out a lot more sugar, because I know that is huge in inflammation. My lymph nodes are still kind of a mystery. We're not really sure what's going on. The vaccine injury clinic, vaccine injury support program, I'm still kind of waiting to hear from them. And yeah, so we're just kind of, I mean, this doesn't make me anti-vaccine, because I have gotten 2, after my Moderna vaccine, I have gotten 2 Pfizer vaccines as my boosters, and have not had any reactions to them. I only had the reaction to the Moderna vaccine, so they think it's related to that. So yeah, so it's a mystery. I'm 1 in 3 million apparently for vaccine injuries. I am sure there is more out there, but it kind of like, I didn't have any pre-existing conditions. I didn't have POTS syndrome before this. I didn't have any illnesses, any autoimmune, nothing. I was totally healthy. The only thing I got was cold sores, and I had that my entire life, and that wasn't really like a, that was more genetic than anything. So yeah, so that's kind of my story. I hope this kind of helps people. I'm here if you have any questions at all, because I know it can get kind of confusing and everything. So these are my diagnoses, and now in May 2024, we're just kind of hanging in there. We're going to play around with my meds a little bit and see how the summer goes. And I'm just kind of focusing on the fact that I can do more this year than I have been in the past couple years. And I'm just trying to pace myself and be happy with what I can do, instead of pushing myself to do more. And of course, I love pushing myself to do more, because I am not a person who likes to sit still. So this illness has been very hard on me, but I have learned a little bit. Maybe my husband and family probably think otherwise, but I have learned to pace myself a little bit better, with the more time I've had this illness. So anyways, I just hope that this kind of helps answer any questions and gets out awareness a little bit more. And yeah, I'm here if you guys have any questions about it. And yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I'm making the best of it, and I know that there's a lot worse out there. So I am thankful for the issues that I do have are semi-manageable, at least right now. And I live in Canada, so I'm able to, get the healthcare and everything that I need, and get the medication that I need as well to help maintain a semi-normal lifestyle. So I hope to get back to work soon and start dog training and stuff as well. But for now, online courses and stuff is what I got going on. So yeah, so anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I know it's kind of long, but it's a long journey. So if you guys have any questions, you can private message me, or you can just comment on the video itself. Feel free to share it, get this information out there. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what everybody else's, kind of unique experience has been with COVID and everything. What I was going to say also was that I didn't get COVID itself until fall of 2022. So all of this started in July 2021, and I didn't have my first bout of COVID until 2022. So it is not long COVID from COVID itself. It is basically kind of like a long COVID from the vaccine, from the Moderna vaccine. So anyways, I digress. I hope everybody enjoyed watching this. I know it's kind of long and boring and it's just me talking, but a few people were interested. So yeah. So anyways, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and we will catch you on the next one.